Hello, hi there, I'm Paul from SET English, and today we are going to talk about past perfect and why it's useful in OET. Alright, now, before you start getting worried and thinking, past perfect, that sounds tricky. It's not that tricky. It feels tricky to begin with, but you've got to have the right kind of thought process. And if you do, then I promise that it becomes a simple idea, okay? You've just got to learn what it is, and then we'll talk about why it's useful in OET. Now, before we get started, if you click below, you'll find a really useful PDF with all of the information about past perfect, plus some nice exercises. Also, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Okay, so let's get started. Tenses. Tenses are a way that verbs are affected to show you when things happen, okay? And what you need to remember is that every single verb in English is affected by tense. Whenever you use a verb, you choose a tense, okay? You say when it is past, present, future, and then we've got some kind of tricky little ones. Sometimes part of the different aspects of tenses can be a bit confusing, okay? I understand that. Past perfect is one of those. I'm going to help you with it today. But also, it's really useful in OET to understand tenses because we've got these different kind of paragraphs. Think about timeline paragraphs. Okay, we need to use tense. We're using lots of verbs in OET, so we're using tenses a lot. All right, so what is past perfect? All right, I'm going to switch to my Word document and I'm going to explain for you, okay? So let's have a look. Past perfect. Okay, the first thing to think about is, obviously, we've talked about tense. The past perfect is an aspect of the past. It's what we call a narrative tense. Now, if you're not sure what narrative means, it means we tell stories, okay, with these tenses. Past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous. Okay, we tell stories. That's what narratives are. Now, they're not always very interesting stories. For instance, yesterday I lost my phone. Okay, that's not a very interesting story, but it is a story. And I've used the past simple to do that. Okay, that's just the past simple. Very easy. I've used a little time stamp which says when it happened. Yesterday I lost my phone. All right, so a nice easy kind of timeline would look a bit like this. Okay, here's now. Yesterday was there, and what did I do? I lost my phone. There we go. All right, I lost my phone. So that's the past simple. That's a very simple thing for us to understand. Past simple. Everybody knows that. All right. Now, it does get a little bit trickier than that because we've got the past perfect. And remember that for all of this, what we're doing is we are going backwards from the present, okay, into this area. That's the past. Okay, that's all in the past. Now, ask yourself, what does the word perfect mean? Okay, let's get ourselves some space here. What does the word perfect mean? Well, in grammar, perfect doesn't mean ideal or 100% correct. Perfect means before. So you hear it, don't you, with present perfect, past perfect, future perfect. It means before. So past perfect equals before the past. And you might think, how's that possible? How can we be before the past? The past is before now. Nothing's before the past. But it is a really good concept to think about. The past perfect, in short, is a way for us to tell stories in a different order. Okay? The past perfect is used to show the sequence, the order of events in the past. That's what it's used to do. Okay? Sometimes we tell stories with multiple events in. Okay? Especially in OET, there are multiple events in your case notes. There's this happened on this day, this happened on this day, this happened on this day. Okay, well, you can choose if you want to just go chronologically from the oldest all the way through. Or you might think, well, some of that earlier stuff I can summarize. It's not so important. So I'll decide to start my story later and I'll refer back to it. And that's where the past perfect comes in. Okay? So the past perfect is used to show the sequence of events. We start our story at an established time in the past. Okay? And then go back to before that time. All right, so if we did a little drawing, okay, imagine here's our timeline. Remember, this is now, and we are referring, or everything is referring to here, to the past. Okay, everything is about the past. Now, just imagine I start my story here. Okay, and let's say that was yesterday. Okay, what did I do yesterday? Let's remember, I lost my phone. Okay, so I lost my phone. Here it is. Now, ask yourself the question, when did I buy that phone? When did I buy that phone? I bought it here, didn't I? Oops. I bought it somewhere here. Because you buy a phone before you lose it. Now, let me write the sentence for you. Okay? I lost my phone yesterday. I had bought it last week, or the week before. I had bought it the week before. Oh, okay. Notice what's happened. I've got my past simple there. Very nice. Past simple. And I've got my past perfect. Okay, now, why? That's what you should be asking yourself. Why have I done the past perfect there? Well, the reason why, and I'll choose a different colour for this, okay? The reason why is I started here. I started yesterday. And then I didn't go this direction, which we often and normally do in stories. I went in this direction. I went back. Okay, I said something in the past and I went to before it. So what I've ended up with is had bought here. Okay, had bought is there. And that is basically what the past perfect is for. It's to show whoever is reading or whoever is listening that something happened before something else in the past. That's what the past perfect is. So you might be thinking, okay, well, you're talking about phones and losing phones. Why is that useful for me in OET? Well, it is useful for you in OET. I've got a little exercise that we can do together, which I think would be useful for us. Okay, so let's take a bit of time and have a look at this. Okay, so what have I got? I've got 5 events over here. And those 5 events are all written here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So, number 1 was the 13th of June. What happened? I found a lesion on the back of my hand. Number 2 is the 14th of June. GP visit, referred to a dermatologist. 28th of June, the dermatologist did a biopsy. The 30th of June, a biopsy result came back and it confirmed basal cell carcinoma. And then on the 5th of July, what happened? The carcinoma was removed. Now that is a really kind of typical OET situation. Now, think of the situation. The carcinoma is no longer there. All right. So, is it really important in an OET task if the carcinoma is no longer there? Is it really important for me to go into all of that detail about the beginning of this timeline? I don't think it is. Okay. I think we can summarize a bit at the start. Okay. And that means that I probably don't have to start at the beginning. I can choose, if I can use past perfect simple, I can choose to start anywhere I want. Now I can go chronological if I want to, and I can start the 13th of June. Okay, let's write that chronological. Chronological means following the order of time. Okay, on the 13th of June, Mr. Smith found a lesion on his hand. The following day, following the order of time, the following day he visited his GP, who referred him, nice relative clause, who referred him to a dermatologist. On the 28th of June, the dermatologist, I don't know about you, but this feels a bit long. The dermatologist did a biopsy. Okay, on the 30th of June, have you noticed how many times I'm using dates and dates and dates? Okay, on the 30th of June, the biopsy result confirmed a basal cell carcinoma. Okay, on the 5th of July, the dermatologist removed the carcinoma. Now, I don't know about you, but that feels too long. Okay? How long was I writing for there, and how many different times did I write the date? It was quite repetitive. I don't think that was great. Okay? So instead, I probably won't do chronological. All right? I'm probably not going to go. I'm probably not going to go with that past simple all the way through. Look, found, visited, referred, did, confirmed, removed. They're all in the past simple. Okay, they're all in the past simple. But maybe I could do it in a way which is slightly better. Maybe I could start my story here on the 28th. Okay, so I could do that. I could start there at point 3 and just refer back. Now, do I really need to say that the GP referred him there? I don't think that that's really important. What I want to do instead is just refer back to when it was found. So here's a really nice opening past perfect sentence or use of past perfect at the beginning of a timeline paragraph. All right. Let's have a look. Let's make this black again. Okay, so on the 20th of June, I don't know why that didn't come out black. Okay, on the 20th of June, a dermatologist, actually no, on the 30th of June, let's put, on the 30th of June, sorry, we'll start on the 4th instead, because, on number 4 instead, because I think we'll start with the removal, with the confirmation. On the 30th of June, a dermatologist confirmed that Mr. Smith had a basal cell carcinoma on the back of his hand. Mr. Smith had discovered it 2 weeks before. Okay, I could do that. I've got the past perfect, so I can do that. And if I can do that, then that means I can start my story anywhere I like. Okay, I could do it another way. I could say, on the 5th of July, a dermatologist removed a basal cell carcinoma from the back of Mr. Smith's hand after it had been confirmed by biopsy. When was it? In late June. How about that? Okay, it had been confirmed. That's really nice. This is how we could use the past perfect. Okay, and I think what happens is all of this use of language, it ties in with your understanding of the task. I didn't think I needed all of that information, so chronological didn't really work for me. Instead, I decided I think this piece of information was good, this piece, let's put it together and focus on what we think is the most important aspect. Okay, so that's the past perfect. As I said before, if you do want some more information about this, if you want a nice PDF with the instructions for using past perfect and some exercises, then just click below and please like and subscribe. Okay, we'll see you soon. Bye bye.